Alright. Alright, we'll start by saying the praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Barakah, double honors to the elder apostles of great news on the world, and shalom to the hopeful elect. Alright, we're Hebrew Israelites, we come out here every week to prophesy the downfall of this kingdom which is known as Babylon the Great, headed by America. And guys, look at me like
bro,
yeah,
I was thinking,
like, what's wrong with you?
look at me.
Yeah. Have a Valentine's Day. Your daughter.
Yeah. Look, bro, he's put his flags up. He's known for the English.
In it. Probably says I'm proud Christian Church of England. Ain't gonna fuck this. But anyway, America, which is known as Babylon the Great, alright, which is basically prophesied slain for judgment by Yahweh's return and judging of the place. Alright, we are indeed in the last days, right? And this is evident by the things you see going on around the earth. All different things are happening every day, which is really showing you that, you know, it's a curtain call, right? Last hurrah is basically taking place. So yeah, one of the main things is, you know, this man, when you deal with the Epstein files that's been released, it's really, you know, the lifting of the skirt of this harlot known as Babylon the Great, all right, which is basically, you know, Esau Edom, the so-called white man as is known today, all right. He's really dealing with the elites, because, you know, you got other people that the elites call goyim, all right, which are even their own people. They don't regard in any highest esteem or stead. They don't know no better. But this is basically an agenda they have that they want to accomplish, and we're seeing it come to fruition now. But at the same time, what's happening parallel to that, that this man's being exposed, right? And one of the recent things that came out is with Prince Andrew, or you know, whatever they call him now, whereby Andrew Windsor, because they stripped him of his title, whereby, you know, with him, they're basically coming out and saying the Queen, the former Queen, basically paid £7 million, shot up the girl that was sexually abused by Andrew, right? So all this stuff is really, you know, very telling as far as, you know, exposing the wicked elites that control this earth, all right? And that's a big shame, you know, the Queen ruled, yeah, the Queen reigned for the longest reign in the United Kingdom.
I think she was like the biggest monarch in general, like not even just in the UK,
yeah,
not even like just the biggest monarch in the whole globe.
There was no other monarchy, you know, that, like, even when I heard of, like, oh, there's a queen in Netherlands, or there's a queen in Denmark, Spain, they don't exist. They don't even know. Yeah. So basically, now it's a big stain on the part, because her level of exposure to that situation is similar to Jimmy Savile. It's like someone died, and, you know, they were revered once when they were on Earth, and then when they died, all that dirty laundry came out, and now everyone looks at them. They don't quite have the same reference they once had, right? And this is something for them. You know, a lot of people are shameless anyway. They don't mind, like, well, as long as I'm alive and no one's chatting shit, that's all that matters. Once I die, I don't give a toss. They can say I was rubbing little bit of willies, and I was eating fetuses, and I was taking dumps on my chest. I don't care. But for now, I'm gonna live in luxury, and no one's gonna say nothing to me. That's how they're thinking, all right? But this is the Heavenly Father exposing this man in this time that we're presently in, right? You go say?
Yeah, Psalm 64 and 8, it says, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away.
Right, this is prophecy right out of the book of Psalms. Right, this is Psalm of David or Asaph? David. Right, so this David's prophesying in the spirit, going back thousands upon thousands of years ago. speaking of that's taking place right now. Right? This really shows you this is the living. Or a lot of people look at the Bible and saying that's just, oh, it's nice to have it in your collection, or you have it on your bedside table, or have it on, you know, what you call it, the side table when you walk into your house.
Have it in the book when you're filming your YouTube video.
Yeah.
Talking about get that.
Being scholarly and all that type of stuff. But the reality of the situation is, this book is like, you know, when you watch a video on YouTube where you can have, what does it have, this thing, you know, when you have, press the CC button. Subtitles, yeah, and you have there's another, they call it, there's another subtitles. But you have the sub where you can see all the words in real time. Closed caption, yeah. You have the closed caption guy where it's saying everything. If you open the Bible and the Spirit's working with you, you have a closed caption going through your mind saying, oh, that's what, okay, that one's coming, okay, I can see it. You know, you can see it, it isn't highlighted yet, but you see it coming, then it gets highlighted, then it moves, or it might linger on the screen. This is going on right now. The Bible is speaking to you, but it's only for those that are aware. We just had like a couple come up earlier and ask us about this Bible, like, oh, you're going to say black Israelites. I had to correct them and say, no, we're Hebrew Israelites. So what they were asking is like, what are you about? What are you teaching? And we had to show them like, look, this is dealing with the Bible. Those people that call themselves the Jews today are imposters. Alright? When you open the Bible is basically a marker that determines who's who. If you're going to call yourself a Jew, if you're going to say you pertain to the people of the book, alright, or people of God, where's the only place of reference you're going to be able to go to? It's the Bible. Right? So you're going to open that book and you're going to have to read and point out and highlight the points as to say we are the people. So and so, we have the divine right kings. We're allowed to rule over the whole people. But guess what? When you open a book, you won't find them inside it. Alright? You'll find a different, we have to show him and say like, look, the Mount Nasser basically said like the Jews left Palestine black and came back white. Alright? That's during the time of the war between the Egyptians and the so-called Jews, right? The Israelis. When that took place, he basically outed them and said like, you guys are imposters. Right? And when you go into the Bible, the book of Numbers, the 12th chapter, it tells you how Miriam became white as snow. Right? And Aaron and Moses pleaded unto the Most High and said, please don't let her be as one dead. And they had to cast her out of the camp for 7 days because she was white as snow, like clean as a leper. So that is a clear indication that her changing her color in a visage was a big deal. Right? They said that it was someone that's past death. Because like if you look at anything that lacks melanin on this earth, it looks weird. It doesn't look right. If you see an albino plant, you don't want to touch it. You see an albino orangutan, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Right? That's why you see when you have these so-called white people go down to places like Africa and they meet like the little nigglets. They meet the little kids. They meet the little kids down there in Africa. They're looking at them like her, like, can I touch you? Because they're looking at them like they're odd, right? You've never seen nothing like that, right? That's why Uganda, there's had to be a great, changing, reconstruction of the mind. And that's what I said to the guy. I said, look, when you look at everyone upon the earth, the whole world is full of people of color, freeing from a dark brown to a light brown. All right? But this guy, you might as well get Isaiah, turn the thing down. Just read that and then get me off me from past.
Isaiah 29:16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay.
Right, who's turning them things upside down? He's talking about Esau, Edom, otherwise known today as a so-called white man. right? That's a major way he made a turning of things upside down. But now when you go into the Bible, the book of Genesis, the 10th chapter, there's a clear breakdown of the table of nations. That's a declaration by the Heavenly Father to say these are the generations and there's the sets of people. Because now look, where the Luddites, where they have backsiders, there is no such thing, because the Heavenly Father determined that these people and these fathers will be the progenitors of a nation, right? So when he had Shem and Japheth, they're not known as Noahites, are they? There's a reason. The Heavenly Father set up a certain way. So when you read throughout the course of the Bible, you can always go back to the Table of Nations as a form of index to get context as far as the peoples being spoken, where it refers to. Now, even when you deal with something like the book, the curse of Canaan, sorry. You know, people say, oh, that's when slavery happened, that was a curse. No. If you know the Bible, the curse of Canaan came into fruition when the children of Israel basically took over the land of Canaan. Alright? That's why you gotta know the context. You can actually govern and understand what's being said in the Bible if you read it, priest line upon line, hair a little, there a little, priest upon priest. You know, as it says. Right? So go and read that again.
Surely you're turning of things upside down.
Right, so all that stuff I said is part of this turning of things upside down. Right? People now are known by color. Right? You determine someone's race by color. That's confusion. Because after a certain amount of generations, they still pertain to a certain race of people, but they say, oh, they're not this set of people. But no, they have a lineage that they go back to. And that's part of this devil's work. Read on.
Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's plate.
Yeah.
For shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding?
Right. So ultimately, all this work that this man's done is going to be the term that's looked at as a potter's clay, right? Which is going to be dashed to pieces, right? It tells you that in the book of Romans. This man, everything he's done is like a work of grace. It's going to come. That's why even when you deal with the table, you deal with a statue, it's spoken of in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the feet of it all is made out of miry clay and iron, right? So those two things basically shows you the foundation of this, the heathen rulership is built upon something so fickle and or not so much fickle. Sorry, so you should interrupt me.
Yeah. We're in the middle of something.
Yeah.
That's not nice to say that.
You just said we're in the middle of something. What are you talking about?
Bloody hell.
I was like, are we in the middle of something or not? What the hell?
And you say that's not nice.
Yeah, man, what the hell are you talking about? We're in the middle of like, what? So go walk up to someone presenting a TV news and just ask him, oh, sorry, mate, you ain't going to do that.
Can't read.
Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's plate. But shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed had no understanding? Yeah, that's with turning things upside down. As far as now, in the modern age, now we're in a time that's of this fashion. Just as you had, the fashion of the time of the Romans, the Greeks, the Persians, medieval times. You had various fashions, and then when you're in the midst of it, then they can basically present whatever they desire as a form of righteousness, justice, order, even if they're presenting a complete opposite. Now we're in a time where Esau's been given basically the ability to fulfill his desires and present whatever he wants as order. Because it says the red horse was given power to take peace on the earth, and then he's made it where it's like even his warmongering is righteous justice. This guy presents the conquest of the United States as manifest destiny. Where it's like, oh, they were meant to just go, which is true. They were meant to go over there and conquest it. But then that doesn't mean that they're free of the punishment that comes with it.
Yeah.
Same thing with their warmongers.
Even now they're trying to work something known as racial, which a lot of Jacob from Judah is falling, really Judah, Gad, Reuben, Issachar, the different fragmented people that are over in the land of America. They're feeding into this erasure. When the whole FBA thing is something like, I've seen army shit be so and it's just, you can tell it's just, they don't understand they're being utilized for the agenda to basically wipe away the idea of slavery, right? Slavery, whether you like it or not, that happened. And they're trying to say it's only 200,000 people. Over 400, 300 fucking years, you're right. You all the way there in your head. 200,000
They would have
people.
died within like
Do you know how much
bro.
of an economy, do you know how big bucks is being made? And then when you present things like Evo landing, voodoo, going back to Yoruba, religion, systems, these various different things that can only be shook that have their roots in, even though say stuff like Barmias are, these Africans, when they come over now, they're part of the problem. They've always been brought over as part of the problem. That's like, I had to read into like how many different people in the land of America that led slave revolts being fresh slaves. You know that when they first landed, and then there's one called Remy from Angola, and he kicked up a slave revolution in in the Carolinas. So like, they're trying to make it seem like, yeah, they came over, they weren't, they were part of the problem. No, the niggas that are going over there right now from West Africa, they're going there because they've been presented with an opportunity. They're immigrants. It's not their land. Like all immigrants that go over to another land, like we get the same thing over here. You have someone that's fresh, they land, and I mean fresh from any. It could be Benjamin, it could be from the land of Ham, any Europe. I mean fresh from, like when I say fresh from the world, fresh from the country, I'm not specifying it to no one in like one set of people. When they coming over and like land of opportunity, I'm gonna do stuff. They tell me don't do something, I'm not gonna do it. So they know how to leverage people for their own benefit, right? But at the same time, for them to have that's the rule of it.
It's nice that you do that.
That's always been.
He's gonna read Habakkuk.
Read this. Habakkuk 2:15, it says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness.
Right, and that's what this man has done. Basically, when he took the children of Israel, when you deal with killing Gad, Reuben, Issachar, right over in the land of America, the Native Americans, as they call them, they basically subjugated them to mass slaughter, and then after the fact, they basically psychologically done a work on them, right? They basically beat them to the ground and then changed all the history. That's why now with the FBA, I have this thing where they say, oh, my roots, I never was from Africa. I've always been like a Native American Indian, and that's a truthful thing. Because what happened through the color line of things, defining people by color, it served better to the natives of the land of America, right? Or that the actual beating that you put, the thrashing you beat on the natives of the land, that was, not as big as people think it is. If you see certain tribes throughout the Americas, like you still have it today, and what they call the Caribs, the Arawaks, they have that. Some of them, you wouldn't even know whether they're or they're so-called Indian. Alright? They look just dark-skinned with like tan hair. And the funny thing is, you have people, it's a funny thing as well, like you have people, you could say, I prefer to the land of Ham, it's probably the best place to use as a contrast to it. You have people in the land of Ham that have fine hair, right? Or they know how to take their hair, like, I don't think it's personal, but I know people that, they have their hair in a certain way. You wouldn't even, they would say, oh, I don't even think you're black. I think it's like Cooley or something like that, or an Indian, you know what I mean? But just because their hair is a certain texture. So there's a whole confusion that this man has done. And then he's made you to drink that drink, right? A drink of confusion. That's why now the world's got mad, right? Read what you got again? Oh, sure. Oh, where you gonna get?
Jeremiah 12 and 9, my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird, the crown about or against thee. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour.
Cake on turn. Well, so yeah, the heaven cake on turn. So our heritage is like unto a speckled bird, right? So this is the thing about our nation. We have crazy variations in our people, man. Right? You have some that they could be dark skin with fine hair, they could be light skin with police hair. Right? They could look, white passing as they say, where they don't look even like you would even think they got a smidgen of any form of colour. Alright, but it all boils down to the variations of the Heavenly Father. He makes things according to his desire. And that's why when people label us as black Hebrew Israelites, that's like the biggest, offense to the Heavenly Father, because our people is, as Brother read, like unto a speckled bird, this variance within our people is crazy.
That's the thing, it's not even just with Jake, even when we go to Elon.
Yeah.
They've got the caste system as well, which explicitly shows there's huge variations just in skin tone when you're dealing with just that both the same nation. But then the thing is what Esau's put his confusion on top of it. They're trying to find some form of meaning in, skin's light or dark or what. And then there's certain places where that runs. Like Far East Asia, like South Korea, Japan, whatever. They're trying to knock out the sun, but it also goes into like rice farming being done by the poor, so they'll be out in the sun. So then there's, they're trying to make having lighter skin means you're more affluent, which, through social factors, sure it did. But then in reality, that don't mean shit. So I read this, Hosea 7 and 8 says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. And yeah, with Ephraim, especially amongst when you go to the northern kingdom, you're going to get huge variation. You can go to Brazil. Brazil's an example of Asher. Just in there, you'll have a huge variation in the variety of skin tones. Because you had Jake come over and mixing blood as well from the southern kingdom, and then Esau go in and mix in as well.
Trying to whitewash the colour,
get out. But then there's something that's variety of shades. That's always been a thing. They've just tried to, and the thing is like it's really an American-centric kind of mindset to try and push that, the lighter skin or whatever. Because it's like, over here, bro, I remember growing up, it was like people with mixed race, man, were just treated like they're black. Like, it wasn't even a thing. Being light-skinned or whatever, like, it wasn't until, like, American influence through TV shows and whatnot, where it's like, light-skinned or whatever, then it became a thing to kind of watch for.
But then some of the confusion of the people as well, don't get into like, just because you have some people, they always say mixed race people are confused because they're exposed to the white side of the family, but then they also have the black side of the family. They want the black side of the family, so that's why they pursue. Like, we're up in the city right now, and the overarching factor, like the thing you see so prevalent out there, let alone Eve, is so quote unquote mixed race, you know, people basically, or girls, you know, trying to link up and basically, you know, try and get part of the blessing.
I guess everyone thinks that.
Yeah, I know, that's what it is. But it's more of a thing with them. It's heavily prevalent. They do it because there's like it's funny because Nas did a song on it in his album, Nas with Kanye in it. But it's a thing, it's like when you, because obviously man likes a little lighty here and there, you know. So it's the psychological, you know, functions of it. It's like I'm pulled back and I'm kind of realizing, because they take to, a lot of them take to me.
I could tell like
from my experience. And I realized what it is that dynamic of they like a dark skinned gent, but they have the flip side of it as well, where a lot of them are trying to get that blessing, you know what I mean?
Because they're within this Esau system. It's like went into it, it's been flipped upside down. As far as the beauty standards, the pinnacle, the most desirable, attainable state people are looking at is pale skin, blue eyes, blonde hair. That's
it's the same with Brit, the one that goes Harry. What she do? Yeah, they're doing the thingy. They relax the shit out of their hair. Like they got long, like you got nice curly locks and all that, but they're trying to pass more for E.
as pale as
Yeah,
much as blending in as much as possible.
So it's like I've met enough of them. Like I said, I've dealt with so many that's like there's certain ones in certain environments I've met more like that I've kind of like they fuck with you, but it's like a what do you call it, like a construct, but like, it's like a obstruction, something stopping you from like
Complex.
yeah, complex, that's the word. You have a complex. But yeah, it's lucky.
I finished on this. Habakkuk 2:16 says, "Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered."
Right, and that's what we're seeing right now. This man's shame, man. Like after stuff that's coming out now, it's unbelievable. And they're not even saying there's one of the recent things I've seen on the Epstein files is saying that they actually orchestrated the whole pandemic. They're showing you the back in and outs of how they planned it with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates. And now it's all being exposed. Everything, this guy's guts is being cast out.
The thing is, it was like, that's only one layer as far as the level of people you're dealing with, the correspondence. But then it's the real joke is like it's like, you know, so it's like you're being treated like a fucking maniac, lunatic, batshit insane, which, you know, some people were, but then it's like certain of these conspiracy theories, things that were called conspiracy theories, now that a lot of them have been revealed over time. There was a period of time where it's like, you're saying, oh, there's pedophile rings at the BBC, Hollywood, you know, people are looking at you like you're a maniac,
You've got 10 heads.
but then through the process of those things got revealed. And now amongst the elite, all these different forms of satanic worship, and their approach that well, even having conspiracy together, where they're moving together to accomplish things. Those things look like, remember, the thing is, you don't even have to talk about like you can just go like in Hollywood or in the music business or people work together like, okay, let's link up and do this in the background. Over the okay, let's launch on, let's do this, let's sign this guy. You know, people are going to move together and move in their best interest and try and find people to work with. So of course these guys have even more wealth, power, fame, etc., where they can do things even greater scale. But then they're just going to be like, nah, I'm done. Bro, motherfuckers will get a multi-million, they might get 10 mil, and then they'll start doing everything and then be like, after a while, they'll be like, yeah, it's kind of done, man. They're gonna go out, find every experience, like go through it. Then they'll start thinking, okay, maybe I want to do more. You know what a good example of that is? Limitless, the movie.
Yeah.
Because when he starts using NZT, initially he was an author. He starts off as a writer. He's writing a book. And then he just uses the NZT to give him the motivation to finish the book. He finishes the book. Then he goes off, he parties, he makes a bunch of money. He goes around, meets a bunch of girls. He goes to all the lovely, every great scenery you can find in the world. He experiences. He starts driving fast cars. Then afterwards, he said, the idea started to form in my mind. He started to think of a plan. Because why? Doing all that, he's gained all that experience. But then it's like there's got to be something more.
Let me read this to back up the point. Wisdom of Solomon 2:1. For the ungodly said reasoning with themselves were not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart. Which being extinguished, our bodies shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our names shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. And our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist.
Basically, you're gonna go out, you're gonna experience life, you're gonna blast drugs.
bro.
Oh, you're gonna blast, you're gonna blast drugs. You're gonna do every devious sexual act you can imagine. Then afterwards, you're just gonna drop dead and none of it's gonna matter. That's the bro. I was like, why are you still? I was like, bro, you are down the street. Like you're good. Like
That's nothing to do with us, man. Right?
You're
gonna say free management.
if we're in the movie, you're out of focus, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Like what are we doing there? But then that's the thing is with all
The directors, they're quite on set.
but then that's I forgot what I was saying. Man.
I'll read it. I'll read it on actually.
Oh, is that all about? Yeah. No, go
I ain't really got some point. Verse 5. Mid verse 4. That is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. For it is far sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures that are in use. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go about this part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this.
These guys want all the dainties, pleasures, and experiences and joys of the world, and then after having enjoyed all those pleasures, dainties, and goods, then they want to, leave a monument somewhere and then drop it, and then not have to deal with
Right there, initial was there.
yeah, ZW was hell, and then
On Instagram pictures, album.
they're looking at things as far as we're just fulfilling a carnal lust. Then once they're satiated, then all experience ends. But then the lust, the confusion of that approach is that there's a judgment. After death comes the judgment, and that's the thing. Is all these things we do, even if you think like, oh, you're just enjoying whatever. You don't even you're already, bro. You're in the reincarnation, bro. You're back in the flesh, which means if you're back in the reincarnation, then you're already there's already the state we're in is already accounting for prior things. Like when we're dealing with the means of judgment is executed on the earth. So then when you're whatever you're doing, whatever operation you're doing, kind of a prior thing, keep racking up more things that we need to be judged for.
Right, and that's the thing, you can be judged in your present lifetime, you can be judged in the lifetime to come. And as far as that judgment, you don't know the degree of what that judgment will be. Like, you had Glenn Hoddle, and I remember this like yesterday, man, because I remember it was a big thing. The former coach of the England team in the 90s, where he came out, and I don't know why he come out, like, you know, you look back and like, why the fuck would you even say that? Like, I'm sure someone filmed him, someone who was comfortable with him, outed him, where he said that he believed that anyone that was born disabled is because of what they did in the previous life. And I remember that was a big thing in the news for a long time. And I remember just thinking like, yeah, I kind of was like, wow, that's kind of scary. It's last life. Now you're being judged for it. But it was like a big thing that, you know, lost his job on the basis of that. But if this country is a God-fearing country, all they have to do is go to the Bible and just read it, and they would have been like, oh, yeah, let him have his job, like, don't say. But that shows you they're not a God-fearing people like they like to claim. But the people that set up the Church of England, the people that set up the Boogery Law, the people that revered God and were singing hymns, all right, songs of praise to the Heavenly Father, that set up the land of England, were the Israelites, right? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, so-called dark-skinned people, all right, that were living over in Europe. That's why you have monuments of us in the previous lifetimes, all right? Saint Maurice the Moor, that's a big, you know, they use him as a saint. I forgot what his office was, but they used him, I think he was in the Knights Templar, and he became a knight. They were knighting under Saint Maurice, I can't remember it verbatim. But these that, you know, really show you who was present in the land of Europe, all right? And basically, these devils got up in there and just took a stronghold, a foothold in us, the things that we had, and just continued it and let it be part of, you know, the ambiance.
The foundation of their power.
There you go.
They're building up.
Yeah.
Because as far as even if you take now with what do you call it, like the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church, that's basically just an extension of this power system. There was a role it played originally. It's like, you know, in a Viking movie, it's good to kind of, Viking movie, the TV show, they show you when you're dealing with France, they were, you know, Charlemagne was trying to do certain things, but then he had to account to and deal with the Pope. The Pope's holding to account for certain things. And then even with Church of England being established, that was basically separating Britain from the influence of the Roman Catholic Church. And it was really only possible because it's an island. They didn't have an easy means to get a military over. And that feeds into a lot of things of how they operate on this island end. But then these are things that, as far as like people don't really know about the history, and they're not really clued in on. Well, the thing is the nature of current times, people are aware. There's that period of time where fear of missing and you only live once, YOLO, was a whole spirit that was coming through.
Funny enough, I swear it goes back to like, right, you know, everyone's reminiscing of 2016 right now.
Yeah,
to that generation.
Exactly that period of time where that's the thing is that whole pride of life spirit was around in that time. Everyone was all up in that vibe, all up in that spirit, not knowing what was around the corner. And that's the irony of it. Is if you're just, you know, you just look at the things at home, just you only live once, blah blah blah. Let's just, you know, maximize our enjoyment, satisfaction, etc. Then you're completely within the spirit of the people that rule as well. But then the failure of understanding you have is that's a form of witchcraft. That's heavily leans into the left-hand side, ancient forms of carnal worship. That's the, you know, ancient witches and warlocks were getting into those same vibrations. Why? Because they were trying to attain some form of power and glory unto themselves. And that's completely averse, you know, to righteousness, to the scriptures, you know, to the Heavenly Father. And that's the thing is if you're a Jake, that's where you're going to get schisms, and you know, everything's not going to work out for you, man. Dealing with those things. Because as far as for Jake, we've got a deal with the Most High where we have to basically operate a certain way.
You read this to back you up. 1 John 2:15. Love not the world, neither the things that are there that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Yeah, love not the world. These are it's been in the time of the Romans. There was a love for the world. In the time of the Greeks, in the time of the Persians, in the time of the Medes. Like these are things. It's not something new that's only come about in this age. The only real thing in this age that's come about that's new is certain forms of technologies where you then magnify the impacts and effects of certain things. But these are things that people have always been out here thinking about, oh, my job, my family, my whatever. But then, you know, there's
why, that's why it was said by Yahweh Shai when he spoke about the things that will be a reflection of the time to come of the end. He said it shall be as the time of Noah. Right? They were eating and drinking and giving in marriage, then the end came. Now what you gotta remember about the time of Noah, in the Bible it's known as the first death. Right? And the time we're headed into right now is known as what? The second death.
And then the third time you like
Right? So it shows you, as Solomon said, there's no new thing under the sun. We're basically living in a generational loop. There's generations that come back to the third and fourth generation, and it's on repeat. It's on repeat. Like the same fuck-ups are coming around, fucking up, doing their damage to the world, and then the generation coming after is cleaning up everything, and it's just on loop, just continual loop, you know, going around and around and around again, for the sake of who? The Heavenly Father and His will. Right? That's what we're seeing right now. So this is why it's nothing new, no new thing under the sun. Right? But like the brother said, people are just tending to their family. I'm born and I shall have suckling children that will suck on the breast of my wife. Then I'll leave my
estate to them.
and then I will die in peace. And then they come again. I shall have
like it's all brand new.
It's all brand new. You're
like
saying the same thing you did a couple generations ago.
That's the thing.
New.
It's with like because it. But then that's why it's like even being in the flesh. These things it's all a binding, man. Because as far as there's deeper spiritual things to pursue. But then it's not easy for you to get into a state to pursue those things. It's the path of least resistance is to go into carnality, into the lust of the flesh.
Yeah.
But then that's part of the struggles of being in the flesh. And that's really where the mindset, the modern mindset, the seasonal, fashion of the times mindset, that spirit is basically just getting in this place, man, getting into them lusts. That's the thing is the main reason why you should be second guessing that. It really comes down to prophecy, because as far as for now, we're in a time where it's funny because you mentioned the Epstein files. These are like it's prophesied of in the scriptures that all the dark, disgusting things that have gone on, behind closed doors, in the dark, that's all getting drenched up. Now all that filth is coming out, and Esau's the one exposing it. As far as, bro, who's got the means to go out there and be like, okay, I'm gonna go and do some deep, super duper hacking. I'm gonna check I'm gonna find every email server. I'm gonna find, bro, WikiLeaks weren't releasing the Epstein files. WikiLeaks still exists. Them man weren't releasing no Epstein files. Government had to come through and release that. So
that shows you the tongue fooling apart, as a brother read it before.
Because as far as with these things, it's through prophecy how it's all coming together, and that's really feeds into why it's like the current civilization, this current rulership, this current kingdom, this current system is basically on its way out. When you go into 20, 30, 50, 70, 100 years ago, there was a greater amount of prominence happening during those times. The average citizen would have far more might and power they could leverage within the system to give themselves a better life. But now we're at a time where everyone's grouchy, everyone's upset, everyone's pissed off. because they're trying to get a slice of the pie, but they're realizing that there's only crumbs on the table. Because why? Now is the time it's all playing out. The ones that are really enjoying the cake, enjoying them slices, they're basically from long established families or lines, or you might have one or two people where they just, they get brought up to a certain level. They might get built up to just enough to where they can kind of, do certain things. You have your tech moguls, your tech billionaires and whatnot, where they kind of bring them up on a certain level. But then even for those people, a lot of them come from certain family lines where they've got family. Their parents might have owned certain businesses. They might have business relationships with certain people. They might have government links already.
Really, you have to have for you to venture into the 1%, it would be like you won't even really be an affiliate if they can't nickel your steal your IP, your intellectual property. They're gonna utilize you in a certain fashion, but you're basically gonna have you on the manage, alright? So it's one of those things that right now, let me actually finish off while I'm reading. Alright, so this is 1 John 2:16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever.
Yeah, that's the thing, is all those desires, pressures, things that feel like they mean something within the world, they're only up to a certain extent. In reality, that's the thing as well, is like, there's very few things where, you're going to be in your deathbed thinking like, damn, I really wish I don't know, I watched that last season of
Breaking Bad.
Of fucking Love Island or whatever.
Oh, even worse, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, the last scene, I need to know. Like the Cindy and Jeff will end up to get who's gonna be you ain't really even think about that shit.
You ain't, man.
Like a lot of these things that when you're just in the flesh, those things will that's the nature of the flesh. Those things feel like life or death. You have people where it's like they might you watch the finale of a season, they feel like a family member died. They're like, damn, that was women. I watched that show for the last 7 years. Every year, Game of Thrones. There's people that probably watch the finale of Game of Thrones are that's one of the worst endings I've ever seen in my life. I feel like my child just died. But then, in reality, bro, on your deathbed, you really think like, oh god damn, Game of Thrones finale. It's not really that important. But that's the thing is especially within the current system now, they've basically got where even the true spiritual deep meaning of these things, in reality, that's completely abstract.
Yeah, boy. So it's like Esau is a carnal man, right? There's even when you do medicine, you say you fall ill, you become ill. This man don't even ask you about your diet, what you eating. They'll ask you in your psychological state, you sleeping, you have enough stress in your mind, and here it is. They know when they deal with medication, when they have to do their trials to determine how effective a form of medicine is, they have to put it through placebo trials. And through the placebo trials, they determine that these things can work based off the sheer willpower of an individual. Or I was having a conversation with someone, and she was making it known to me that Steve Jobs, when he was dealing with holistic remedies, they were working for the first term of his illness because of the sheer willpower, of the placebo, of the belief. Well, that's what she was saying, all right? But then after that, it faltered. It wasn't working the same. And really, that's going into the spirit, because this is why when you go into this is why you need the prophets, man, being the mouthpiece of the Heavenly Father. We'll show you in the book of Sirach, where it says that when you deal with medicine, the apothecary, that's the way you pronounce it, apothecary, all right? When you deal with the medicine of the herbs, you need to add key ingredient, which is prayer. You need to ask for the will of the Heavenly Father to make you well again. If you don't do that, then it ain't gonna work the way you would hope it would work. It may even have some effect, but it's all down to the will of the Heavenly Father. All right. So these are the things that are missing factors as far as Esau's world and the things that he's dealing with. A lot of people are not hip to this, and this is why the Heavenly Father given us this law, this book, this Bible. This is what gives us the one up on the people, right? And guess what? And on top of it, and the funny thing is, we have the we have the capacity to basically deal with the things written inside of this book. You got something?
Yeah. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that they shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he is the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High." And that's really the man you're dealing with. He's basically trying to establish his own order, where he basically serves as a god of that order. And that's even why to join their ranks, they'll give you, rankings on a certain level, but they're not really trying to put you on no kind of level with them. That's the thing is even with the people that come on that level, that see far show you can get raised up, but then they can cast you out. But then there's a certain level where these guys are basically where they're trying to be like the Most High, basically. They're trying to have it where they can never be taken out of the way.
And that's what they won't tell you. They won't bring you into those dark rooms where you have the head of the table with Satan manifesting before them. Because this is something that's an age-old battle between good and evil. Alright? And it's really personified through who? Esau and Jacob, or the Israelites. Alright? And we're a manifestation of that. We are the lesser, just as much as you don't know that information, because the higher elites are, in skyscrapers or in clouds up in space.
In
Elysium, yeah, I'm exaggerating, being playful with it, facetious. But it's the same way we're down here in the dumps, in the dregs of society, they overlook us because you don't know there's a dichotomy, in terms of the power struggle between the two. They're up there, we're down here, alright? We're battling one against another. Right? Everyone in the middle is none the wiser. They don't know what's going on. They don't know. Right now we're flinging swords. Spiritual swords, mind you. Right?
It says, "What? Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery
right,
of
he's being revealed in his time." And it's as you draw close to the time of the end, right? Because a lot of people get, when the world they've been saying it's gonna end for years and years and
it's
years.
gonna blow up.
Bro, like, listen, when you go into history, when you deal with any kingdom that ruled over the earth, or any kingdom that manifests their time upon the earth, they're the reign. Alright? It goes through a peak and a fall. Right, a rise and a fall. So if you looked at it on a chart, it'll go up,
Words of praise
and they go down. A rise and fall, yeah. So they go through a rise and fall, alright? So there is right now we're circling the dream. Right? We deal with America, there's so many Yanks over there in the UK, it's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's fucking more. Like they ain't even leaving.
I know, they're like,
I realize
it's crazy. Like, the more I'm like, yo, this is fucking insane. American again. And that just lets me know they're getting the fuck out of Dodge up there. They're like, nah man, this fucking guy is barmy. We need to jump ship and fly over to another country. So that's what's going on right now. But that's because it's the end of the reign. Right? Like when people saw it going on with Rome, they understood what was going on. They said, yeah, it's time to get out. With all these various different kingdoms that reign for a certain extended period of time or a season, they basically it got to a point where they said, yeah, nah, we need to pack it in and get to moving, man. Pack your bags, son, daughter, let's go. You know?
says, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way.
Right, the Heavenly Father's giving this man his extended period. He set the bounds that he cannot pass. So this man's actually attempting to pass his bounds. And because the Heavenly, this is why it says in the book of Psalms, that because the Most High said nothing, he thinks that he's at one with him. Alright, but he doesn't understand that the Heavenly Father has a boundary where you're not going to pass. Even though it's like, you know, what's a good analogy for this? Not the boy who cried wolf, but you know, like, you feel like you can get away with something, you know, you do it a little bit, you get away with it, you do something again, you get away with it. See, that's what I'm saying. You do it again, and then, you know, you get away with it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so you feel like you can get away with it.
Example, but
No, I was mentioning something else visually. But I'm saying, like, basically, like, that's what. Yeah. So basically, it's like something that you've done so many times that you just feel emboldened. It's like crime. You have a life of a criminal. You know, they get away with so many crimes, and a lot of time when they get bagged for what they actually, when they finally wind up doing prison time, it's for something they didn't even really do. Like, fuck, you know, they got me, but I didn't do that. But guess what? You know, you might as well take it's like a tax. Yeah. It's like a tax. They finally got you. Fuck it. Like, I'm gonna sit down, burn it up for a little while. I'll come back. It could have been worse because I've done worse things. Blah blah blah.
You said they didn't find the bodies, but they got you for some kind of fraud or whatever.
There you go. Tax evasion or whatever the fuck. You know. So this is what's going on today. So this man feels emboldened that, you know, I did this, I did that. No one said nothing. No one brought me to account. So I can keep doing it. I'm gonna get away with it. But the reality of the situation is, the Heavenly Father just threatening you for the taking. That because it tells you there's going to be a sacrifice in Muslim. When you go to the book of Isaiah in the 19th chapter, he's just fattening the calf for the slaughter. That's all it is, right? All these things you're doing is basically the Heavenly Father, you know, allowing you to, you know, heap coals upon your head. You know, making a rope long enough for your own hanging. All right? That's what a lot of people tend to let go over their heads. Go ahead.
And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
Right, and that's happening right now. You know, it's going to happen literally, but it's happening in a metaphorical sense right now. Because what did the Heavenly Father say in the book of Jeremiah? He said that Most High will do nothing but declare his secrets unto his servants the prophets. Right? And then with the servants of prophets, the Heavenly Father uses them. It says in Jeremiah 28, escape. What does it say? Jeremiah 28. About the prophets. Yeah, prophesied both against kingdoms and royalty. So the prophets are always going to come out and basically let it be known what's about to happen upon the earth. Now we're letting it be known. Now, whether you hear or forbear, that's on you. That's on you, right? What you got to do is get the blood of our hands. As long as we let it be known that you've heard it, it's not our problem no more. What you do with what we've told you is on you. The onus is now on you. That's why we ain't running down the street and saying, listen to us. Look what the Bible says. No, you hear it, it's on you. That's what people see, you know, because due to Christianity and worldly, you know, contextuality and conceptualization, people think, oh, if you're going to be someone like that, a man of the book, you want people, you basically want us to be, holding you down and forcing you to lend your ear to. No, we ain't doing that. If you want to listen, you can listen. If you don't want to listen, hey, when it happens, then you will be looking for us. But it'll be too late. Because you've got the example in the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter. Right, 10 virgins, the 5 that are wise and the 5 that are foolish. Those are wise, they took the oil and had fuel for the fire. And those that were foolish, they basically they light the wick and it went out because there was no fuel to keep it going. Right? So this is all on every man's with their own internal battle. Right? And the Heavenly Father dealing with everyone. If you're an Israelite. Let's look at that twisted.
Says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
And that's literally going to happen when the Lord makes his arrival. Right? He's going to descend with a shout. And it tells you in the book of Revelations that basically he opened his mouth and then fire came, a stream of fire came out of his mouth, and then everyone else before him was extinguished. So it basically tells you that this is what's going to happen in the time that we're coming into. Alright?
Wait.
Yeah, we believe. We're not Christians. Alright. Yeah. Go ahead.
And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. And that's really the thing that is the core of the joke of society. The core of even how they conduct themselves goes back to witchcraft. They're dealing with ancient forms of witchcraft, ancient deities, ancient high holy days, just modernized and dressed up.
And
that's really no one's even aware of the extent of these things. Because you go to the Epstein files, these things are coming out. People are like, oh, they are going up to they are going.
But, and that's the thing I was gonna say, to land back on what you're saying. People don't even, they're so, like, people don't realize that they're actually joining in with the witchcraft. You're participating. You're unwilling but willing participant of witchcraft. Why do I say that? Because it tells you in the Bible that rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft. So you rebelling against the words of the Heavenly Father, all right, you're basically joining onto witchcraft.
Into that spirit. Mm-hmm.
That's what, saying no is a major thing. No is your superpower in this kingdom you're in. No. No. Like, you having the ability to say N-O, period, no. It's a big thing. Because you know how you're going to know that? When the time of this mark comes into play, that's when you're going to have to utilize the yay or the nay. All right? You're going to have to look this man in the eye and say, no, cut my fucking hell. That's where it comes down to. Right? That's what's going to define whether you're righteous or you're wicked. And a lot of people fail to realize that gravity of such an attitude towards, wickedness. You can be an unwilling willing participant. Yeah, maybe.
That's the thing is when these things are presented, it's a matter of give diligence to me. You're calling an election. If you're these Christians run rather than the fucking cars. These Christians run up and down the street saying they're saved, but then if you really inquired of the book for what that means, saved from what?
Right, there is nothing to be saved from right now. What's to come is what you hope to be saved from. If you knew what was written in the book, this is why people talk about what they call it. Christians call it the rapture. If you knew that shit coming into play soon, man, you don't know, like when you read, and this is the books that are missing from, been taken away from your reading, so you'd be aware of it. But things was written in the book of Ezra, when you deal with 2nd Ezra 15, 16, Isaiah 13, different chapters within Revelation, Isaiah, right? These are books, chapters, that things that need to be written. But these ain't part of, school curriculum no more. People are reading about the two kings and the boy that wore the dress.
This guy's about to get run over by the bus. He's fucking looking back at us like, bro.
It's a spectacle to the world, isn't it?
It says what? Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Right, they're going to perish because they didn't receive the word of the love of this truth. Right, this word is extremely powerful. In the book of Isaiah 33 and 6, it says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of thy salvation. right? So wisdom and knowledge, where is wisdom and knowledge found? It's found in this Bible, all right? The precepts, you embodying them, having them part of your mind, all right, your mental, right, and what being part of your spirit is what's going to give you the mental fortitude, the spirit to allow you to basically go through these things to come.
It keeps like slightly trying to readjust the focus.
Ah, I see it. Yeah. So this is the until these things come into play, you ain't gonna realize the most because you don't have the vision. It's funny because I was meant to do a video on this, but they basically said that there's a high percentage of people. They say it was something crazy, like 60% or something mad.
Men and women.
They can't. I couldn't believe that.
That was a thing on social media. So when it first it was like a proper, because it was like, I know people saying like, yeah, oh, well, you guys are seeing images. I was like, it was fucking insane, bro. I didn't even realize. I thought it was a joke when it first came out. But then it was like, it was actually. That's why I was like, it was a big thing because it was like those bad people like, yeah, no, I never seen images. But I think it was after they saying they did a study where it's like they tried to train people to get a mental image. And like some of them they could, but I was just thinking, I'm like, bro, it's like, how in the hell are you out here like, you know, think of a dog, and then you're just
some block and some colours,
some blank,
or even just dog. You know the word.
The word. I was like, fucking hell, but that's funny as hell.
You might as well grab him, hold on deck, Samuels. Sorry.
Oh, there's no vision.
Where there's no vision, the people fell.
Yeah.
But then you can grab. There were seers in that day.
Yeah. I think. Let me read this. For this Most High shall give strong delusion that they should believe a lie, and that's really the lie. The lie has always been. Things will continue as they are. That's you had the false prophets where they'll go forth and say, nah, Israel's not the fault. Everything bless up. And then afterwards, you know, everything was not in fact bless up. Everything, it was mass destruction. When you
Cursed.
Yeah. And that's the thing is with, you know, it's what comes to pass. And like you mentioned, it's like go to prior errors. We're not talking about when we're talking about the Persians. When you go to Esteban or wherever the fuck was the capital, you're not like your guy. There ain't no empire gonna be there. The empire's done, bro. You see motherfuckers wearing jeans and shorts and sandals and caps and jackets. Yeah, listening to the Beatles or Michael Jackson or Prince, Coldplay. They're gonna be, you know, they're gonna be on smartphones. There's gonna be electricity running around. There's gonna be concrete buildings. There's gonna be cars. There's gonna be train. Because that shit's done, bro.
And what the prophet just described is basically an extension of what? Of the Babylonian Empire. They're fallen to the rulership of today. They're the Americanization of the world. So they're playing part and parcel of. They've succumbed to the powers that be. Is essentially what I'm saying. They ain't, you know, the rulership of Nebuchadnezzar and and Xerxes and all of them, man. Darius,
Antaxerxes.
Yeah.
But
that's offering you the world.
Yeah.
You know, if you bow down and kiss the
But that's the thing is you know, like you're gonna go, you look in the history book, they'll tell you the year when them man stopped being relevant and the Greeks rose up. Then they'll tell you when the Greeks were washed and then the Romans rose up. They'll give you exact dates. They'll say, okay, and then, you know, in France, you had I can't even remember, it was like Plantagenets. Then afterwards, begins with a C, I can't fucking remember. The next line that took over after them, they'll be able to give you dates, because as far as you go to France now, them fucking Plantagenets are not running France. France ain't even called, it's the Kingdom of the Franks. Ain't even called the Kingdom of the Franks no more.
It's my man.
There was a face got sued for that. Candice Owens, yeah. Funny as hell. But that's a reality. The lie is they're thinking this place will continue forever. But then even with the system, it's like people are saying, oh, capitalism's done. You know, we need communism, we need socialism, we need what? I'm like, bro, it's like some socialism ain't gonna say. Look at fucking Venezuela, bro. That shit ain't gonna run. Like socialism is like everyone's just gonna be like, I'm just gonna take just enough. That thing no one ever said in the history of mankind ever. Bro, a fucking 1-year-old. It's like, a 1-year-old will eat and then get sick because I ate too much. Then we slumped, then we passed out, then we crying. And I'm like, bro, you did it to yourself, dog. He's like, no. That's a 1-year-old. You trade like when you like look at your elites. These guys have enough. Bro, who's going to spend $1 billion? $1 billion. Who's going to spend? If you're spending $1 billion, you're going off, bro.
I don't know about that. Give me $1 billion. I'll spend it right.
But that's a bit. It's generally with like huge amounts of money. It's as far as to meet every need you could possibly want met within your life. You do not need $1 billion. If you had $1 billion, you'll meet every need.
Yeah,
and then there'll be an excess of like you have multiple hundreds of millions left over.
What they call it lifetime inflation.
Bro, I was like, even if you're flying everywhere, the thing is the most is maybe even the thing is the billionaires aren't flying into space. They're building space programs. So that man can go space.
Well, that's the issue. Like I said, lifestyle inflation. They'll find a reason to spend $1 billion. They'll scientists to spend $1 billion.
There was an article I found where they said like people should be having babies in space.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I was like, bro, is man gonna make the Fantastic Four and shit?
Yeah.
Because I'm saying like I think it's like being pregnant up there or having kids up there, like the levels of radiation. Don't know what the fuck happened. I said the thing's gonna be coming out.
You know they're trying. That's probably why they're saying it.
But that's what I'm like, yeah, it might. I'm guessing it's more likely than not, which we still.
What's that thingy called? What's that island, man? Not Epstein Island. The island where all the months.
Triangle.
No, where the monsters come from. Where they said they were experimenting with different things, and it's off the coast of New York. The name of the island. Yeah, they said they had all kinds of abominations, growing out. It was an experimental island. They tried different animals, like shape-shift, fucked up animals came out. Yeah. You get what
was it? You mentioned it was where there's no vision.
Yeah. And then about the seers in time past. I think it's the same chapter. Or maybe it's later on I can say.
There's probably when there's no vision.
Read it afterwards.
Then,
no, read that first.
Yeah. Proverbs 29 and 18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he.
Right. Where there is no vision, the people fail. Look up the word vision while we're showing. Where there is no vision, the people fail. And what vision is that? It's a vision from the Heavenly Father, which he provides unto his men. Like, the prophets always provide the instruction, the breaking down of the vision. When we had Moses during his time, what was said of Moses? He said all the prophets I spoke, gave them a dream or like a vision. Where Moses I spoke, face to face. Right? But that shows you the common means of communication between the Heavenly Father and his people is a vision. Right? And that allows them to be guided as far as what they need to do when these times, whenever things come into play. Right? By a vision, they determine this is what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. Right? You go ahead. You looked up?
Yeah. As a one, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Say it louder.
Oh,
Camera.
so, yeah, has a 1.
And what is it?
Vision, vision, oracle, prophecy, divine communication.
Divine communication. So the Heavenly Father directly dealing with the people, basically providing a direction. Right?
Okay,
Genesis.
So it says, the first one is a divine vision, a vision spoken of a divine vision or dream, especially a vision from the Most High respecting future events, prophetic vision. Generally a divine revelation, an oracle. That's legit pretty much all it is. An oracle often collectively. Okay, no. That was yeah, just a bit. So that's a prophecy, basically receiving a vision of what's to come.
You know, read about. Yeah, just go to Sears.
Yeah, they'll fix it in the
Something.
So 1 Samuel 9:9 says, before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of the Most High, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer.
So in times before, it was known as seer. Now the word seer is plain as day. Seer, S-E-E-R. Someone that sees. All right. A prophet. The word prophet goes back to the word prophesy or prophecy, which when you break it down etymology values, it would be pro meaning before and prophesy to basically say. So to see before. So these people, you know, when you put it together, they're the ones that will see the vision and break it down to the people, but also change it to be known as a prophet, which basically is saying what before it happens, right? Which is interchangeable. So these are the things that, you know, the power of vision. We have people today, they lack the ability to imagine, you know, imagination, visionary ability. Where you going? Where you laughing?
No, I was just laughing at that because it's still. That's some of the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I know. I was like blown away by that, man.
That's why it was like, it was a huge discussion, like online. It was like everywhere because it was like, man, we did not know.
Yeah.
It's from it says and it's what seer, prophet, prophetic vision, and then let me see. So it says what? Seeing act, seeing visions, a seer, a prophet. So yeah, vision. In which sense the accent will perhaps replace the penultimate. Yeah, just a vision or seer. Well, active seer. Yeah. So a seer.
They have the vision. They're able to see the vision and interpret it and give it to the stories to the people. Right?
There's one other.
I was going to say
There's another verse.
after you get the imagination. The imagination of the wicked, something like that.
I did as well, but then
Whatever you
No, it's cool. I thought those something.
One in Corinthians.
Yeah.
If you find another one that's relevant, you can read that. Just read the Corinthians one first, and then we'll get the other ones to follow up. I think the brothers are coming.
Second Corinthians 10 and 4, for the weapons of our warfare and carnal are mighty through the Most High, so the pulling down strongholds.
Right, we ain't coming. This is why you don't see us come out here. We're not, wielding machetes or like, butterfly knives or, right sidearms or rifles. That's not our power. Our power is in this book, this word. It tells you in the book of Hebrews, the word of the Most High is sharper than any two-edged sword. There's nothing you could find, and when you take it into a modern sense, what's it basically is saying there's no weapon that the Heavenly Father that is upon the earth that compares to the word of the Heavenly Father. Right? That's how powerful it is. That's why it also says, I always get confused, but I think it says it in Isaiah, where it's quoted in Philippians, where it's about, there's no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Alright? So basically the Heavenly Father made it where we actually wield the strongest weapon and the strongest form of armor. Alright? Basically have yes, Isaiah 54, I believe. And we have basically the highest level of armor being plot armor. Right? The will of the Heavenly Father. Alright? Whether that's why the Lord said there'll be some standing here this day that shall taste death. Those in that time going back then, during the time of his ministry, obviously many passed away and they died. Right? But he's talking about the time of the end that we're present in now. There's men that within this ministry, they ain't gonna taste death. Right? They're going straight from the womb to the upper room. Alright? That's where they're going. They're gonna be beat up straight up into the Heavenly Father's arms, basically. And then come down here and get busy. Right? Turn up, flip the tables and do everything. Alright? But that's basically that plot armor, right? Which speaks in the book of Ephesians chapter. Right? Now nothing's gonna touch you. It's like a domino in the Marvel, universe. Her whole thing is like luck. Nothing can basically go against her. Those are those men that basically have that, where the Heavenly Father said, nothing's gonna happen to you. Alright? What you got?
It says what? Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High.
Casting down imaginations. Right? Esau's rulership is a figment of his imagination. Right? All these things you're seeing going on there, even the things that are actually prospering in this moment in time, they're a figment of his imagination that's being carried out. And it goes back to what I was saying before, this man has a certain level of leeway from the Heavenly Father that he feels like, justified in his motives. He's like, most times saying nothing about that. Alright, I killed Emmett Till, this happened, that happened. No one said anything. There was no corrective judgment. Alright, I can keep going. But he doesn't know that the Heavenly Father is allowing you to do these things because it's part of the bigger picture. Right? Your imagination overly being cast down. So when you look back, you're gonna say, how the fuck was I so stupid to even believe in this shit? And that's why it says in Isaiah 11, what does it say? It says, what does it say? The nation, fell down faster. Lucifer fell.
I beheld Lucifer lightning.
Yeah, and then all the other nations, what did they say to him?
You come out Isaiah 14.
Yeah, Isaiah 14.
The hands of the oppressor ceased, the golden seed ceased.
Yeah.
We beat the beat the nations with a finger. And then,
What did the heathens? He
it's
said
like,
something.
art thou come, is this the man?
Yeah, that's it.
Is this the man?
Yeah. Is this the man? You know, like that's what everyone's gonna say. Is this the man? You know, like you. Like because basically everything's gonna be exposed and everyone's gonna see you for what you are. Right? That's what's gonna happen ultimately. Because right now we're in the midst of a figment of this man's imagination. That's why when we get put into our kingdom, it's gonna go as what? It's gonna be like what? A bad dream. It was just an imagination in your mind that never came to fruition. Right? It was a time that had to pass.
Says what? Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High.
Right, and that's an underlying factor. You speak against the Most High power. That's what you seem to. That's the thing that you don't seem to realize. You're holding on to this imagination, but you don't realize that you're holding on to something based upon it being against, in offense to the Heavenly Father. Can't read on.
And bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. So yeah, it's basically, that's the thing is, especially for us, we're coming out of the world, so then we're basically having to shed off all those thoughts and instincts that you learn in the world. And that's the thing, that's a process a lot of people don't want to go through. They don't want to have to engage with, that they're out there doing the madness. There's people, they might be in the lust of life, and the lust of certain conduct, and then they're just thinking, well, they're holding on to it, but that's just who I am. There's a guy that might be a smackhead, and he's just thinking like, well, that's just who I am. These are things where then it's certain things that might not be who you are. You might just have demons on you, bro. But these are things that in this world, they're basically trying to make it where you just kind of you're open to everything. You're just a portal towards the left-hand side. There's open any form of wickedness can just be orchestrated through with you as a conduit. But reality of the matter is the truth of these things is going to have to come out in the end. But for now, it's like people are now, they're caught up in the pride of life. You can run your mouth, you can talk shit, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can go play in traffic, you can go do all kinds of madness behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Like people do all forms of wickedness behind closed doors. That's really a big aspect of this this system. A lot of things are done in privacy. The thing is even though it's funny because people are boastful and outgoing about certain things, but then a lot of the true wickedness is done in closed doors. And then, with that, then it's just like realize, oh, no one's even keeping it real. That's the funny thing as well. It's like a lot of people realize, oh, a lot of people are fake, a lot of people. I'm like, bro, it's like you should already realize. It's like as far as most people aren't even aware of their true selves. There's a lot of people where they're basically just looking at things where they might think, oh, I'm an upstanding, whatever, blah, 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 in their own mind. But then they don't realize they're the way they conduct themselves. They might think, I'm a great parent, and all their kids hate them. They might think I'm a great worker, and their boss and everyone underneath them is thinking, I hope this guy drops dead, so anyone else can be my manager other than this guy. Because that's the reality. People are really not clued in or aware of who or what they truly are. Because why? Everything is all lies. This place is a big aspect of it. Whether you're lying to yourself or lying to others, that's a lot of how people just get by. That's why without doing so, a lot of people will break down. That's why you got a lot of people where they do all forms of drugs. They got vices. Because why? The stress of living is immense in this place. Those things are needed just to be at a functional level. But you go into a lot of these high-flying city areas, bank, Canary Wharf, all these different spots where it's a focal point of like those high big money making business areas. These guys will have legendary drug habits, super heroic drug habits.
They can't sniff a line if it ain't on a fresh bosom.
Yeah, they'll be hiring some Eastern European piece of ass so they can snort a line off it.
Bring over
Bring Svetlana. Where's Svetlana at? Where's Svetlana? Bend over right now, you slag. And then snorting the line. Because why? And that's because of the nature of this
some
place.
fecal matter.
This place is a really confusion.
Yeah.
And then and the thing is as well, it's like, what does it say? It's an error that proceeded from the rulers.
Yeah.
Like what's coming out of the Epstein files? Nothing but pure confusion and legendary forms of self-snitching upon all kinds of weird, off-the-wall shit that goes on, man. That means that, the judge that's condemning you for being a disgusting, vile example in your community, you don't know what the hell he's getting up to when he's got flying Epstein liner out there.
Playing Pokemon Go on Epstein Island. Girl was 13 years old. Let's go find Pikachu.
Yeah, no.
Yay!
But these are the things that when you're dealing with the realities of what's actually been going on, man. Behind the veil, you've got the stage, you've got the play, you've got the actors doing their part, but then once the curtains close, what really goes on behind it?
Who knows?
Those are the things that now people are being clued in on a mass scale. Because the thing is, a lot of these things have been spoken about from the 80s and the 60s. You had people come out and say, oh, X, Y, Z's going on. Hollywood was the first domino to fall, where they kind of really revealed, oh, there's a lot of slimy nonsense. And then it's like after the fact, you have a bunch of interviews where people are talking, they're revealing, oh, these people really knew a lot of these things are going down. Same thing now with Epstein Island, man. A lot of people are finding out, oh, these guys are talking about, they were talking about, the first one was Diddy's parties. They were talking about the baby oils. They were talking about, all kinds of things like, oh, going around to these parties at Diddy's. Everyone's talking about he throws the best parties. That was the first domino in that. Now Epstein come out.
I mean, Diddy ain't a pedo, but he might as well be the kind of thing.
Whatever side of the side.
Yeah.
Another man.
I remember being
Another that's crazy. That was crazy, my guy. Playing with another man's seed.
Yeah, I was. I forgot about that. I intentionally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, I know.
I did the utmost to forget about that.
They try and put them together, but
the scale is different.
the scale's different. Like what Epstein's doing is
That's
a
a
facilitator.
his legendary.
Asset, man. Like he's running an operation. What Diddy was doing, he was just fulfilling his lust, like R. Kelly. But what fucking Epstein was doing was
it's probably an emulation of what he saw as well.
Yeah. 100%.
Because that's the thing is like a lot of that's the thing is once you go to the highest levels, they're doing it. This is what that's why
it wasn't even like it. Like
Yeah,
I
it
said,
wasn't.
was
It
more
wasn't.
like
It wasn't. I know.
it wasn't even an operation. It's more like a disease.
Just doing what
Yeah,
you do.
Cassie there just to
Is he the one that we
stretch
went
her
to?
out from time to time, feel sexual fantasies. But the girls he wind up impregnating, he didn't look at them in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a freak.
That's
Like,
another
I'm not gonna-
yeah.
But then when you deal with
He's a
Epstein,
freaky
now,
ass nigga.
Epstein was bloody running a Mossad operation. Basically
Yeah, they
leveraging.
just moving human stock.
Yeah.
Human cargo was getting moved around.
Yeah, and leveraging.
Well, that's the same thing with what's his name as well, man. Savile.
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, there's a lot of
as an asset for the BBC.
facilitating
Yeah,
the moving of human stock.
that's a Waymo over there. Waymo. Waymo electric truck down the car. How did you see that fucking car, man? The Jaguar over there. You didn't see it.
Oh, going down the other,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
the other side, no, I haven't seen it.
Nigga, way more. You know they're doing the
Yeah,
driving
they said they're doing the
cars.
trials.
Yeah,
There was one we saw one of them. Oh,
Yeah,
one?
I'll show you now.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah,
been doing
it's
it.
crazy, bro. I was like, I don't know what. Yeah. You always got not talk about that. You guys are insane, bro. But no, it's with the AI shit. They've been pushing with it, man.
Let's close up, man, because we were definitely kicked off late.
Yeah.
So we've got more.
No, that was it.
Alright, okay, we're out, man. Shalom. 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 Shalom.